Carol Dysinger.
Yes, hi.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
I just want to thank you very much for taking your time to do this interview.
Okay, sure.
Okay, my first question is, how did you celebrate the New Year slash New Decade?
Oh, and let's see. Let me see if I can remember. I went to, I had dinner with very, very old friends who I've known through almost 3 decades. I try to do my decades with them, because we reminisce and it's so hard to keep in touch, but we have this date on the zero. And then we went to Prospect Park at midnight and watched the fireworks. So old friends and fireworks and a little champagne.
Okay. And my next question is, what was the genesis of your documentary short film?
It's hard to say. I mean, there's the genesis of the film and the genesis of what the film is, if you know what I mean. The genesis of the film was that Orlando von Einsiedel, who was our executive producer, made a short about the very beginning of Skatistan in 2010, which I saw when one of my other movies about Afghanistan was on the festival circuit at the same time. And in the meantime, between 2010 and 2016 or 17, I made another movie in Afghanistan, which kept me very much in rooms with girls and women. So I got very, very intimate with sort of the women's side of life in a conservative family. So when A&E called Grain, which is the Orlando's film company, to say they loved the original short, but they wanted to do one on women's skateboarding. After much hand around, they called me because they knew I had done work in Afghanistan, and because I had that 6 years of filming in the women's side of the room. I just leapt at it because I really wanted to bring out the girls of Afghanistan, and I felt like skateboarding, this Skatistan thing, was a way I could really bring the best part of them forward. And I had a lot of knowledge about how to do that, because I'd spent so much time in this family. So it was like a long process, of things coming together. But I was so glad to have the opportunity to make this film.
Okay. Next question is, were there other titles you came up with before learning to skateboard?
Well, people wanted to call it Girls of Skatistan, but there's a photo book of that title, and I was just like, it's too, I don't know, generic. Then for a while, I wanted to call it, a friend of mine wanted to call it A Girl's Guide to Skateboarding in Afghanistan, but people thought that was too flip. And then people said they didn't want to say Afghanistan because they thought it was, people would not want to watch it because of the word Afghanistan, which I find ridiculous, but then I've been going there for 15 years, so I guess I'm a little bit biased. And then I called it A Girl's Guide to Skateboarding, learning how to skateboard in a war zone in 5 easy steps if you're a girl. And then, because that was sort of the structure of the film. And then after much conversation, it came down to learning to skateboard in a war zone, parentheses, if you're a girl. I mean, part of it is, and I give this advice to many short filmmakers, as I teach at NYU at the Graduate Film School. So I've watched my students make these fabulous shorts, which have wonderful lives, and I've noticed that when the log line is the title, they get a lot more attention. Because if you do something poetic, like In the Mist or After the Darkness, something evocative. For a feature, people will go, click on it and read the paragraph. But for a short, they won't. They're like, I don't know, what's that? Let's keep going. So I really was adamant that whatever it was, it had to be something that let you know this was, girls skateboarding in Afghanistan, but in a way that let you know it was going to be humorous. But it had to be in the title. So it's just if any of your readers are short filmmakers, that's my advice. Is people have to read the title has to make them want to see it.
All right. My next question is, what challenges did you face while filming the documentary short?
Well, how to make a documentary about skateboarding in which nobody can skateboard really at all. That was one. Two was the girls are not allowed to skateboard outside, and their lives are very behind walls, right? So I had to come up with ways to sort of create what was on the other side of the wall and what they couldn't do and keep it from being claustrophobic, right? That was a big challenge. Security wasn't so much of a challenge because we were with them inside the walls so much, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the other challenge was, there was a lot of a desire to go see the girls' lives in their homes. And I, having been doing this for some time, was like, it's less dangerous for us than it is for them, because they live in they're poor, they live in very tight, small communities, and if Westerners walk in, that means that family may be getting something that the other families aren't getting, and people, give them a hard time. So it was, a challenge was how to sort of be in their lives and get into their lives without tripping that, without getting them in trouble with their community. I mean, not in danger, but just sort of, if you live in a poor neighborhood and a limousine pulls up, everybody wants to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And if they think you're getting money and they've loaned you money, they're going to come to you and say, well, the Westerners were there, now you can pay me back. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's that kind of thing where you have to be really, 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 the poorer they are, the more careful you have to be,
Yes.
And you can't pay people because it's a documentary, but I just made the producer just filled our trunk with like gallons of oil and giant bags of rice and giant boxes of tea, and I would then go get a couple of cream puffs from the cream puffs are the best cream puffs in the world are in Kabul. I don't know how to tell. I mean, nobody believes me, but it's true. So I would walk in with a box of cream puffs, and then my producer would just sort of leave a bag of rice and oil and tea kind of by the door,
Yeah.
So that, I didn't want to pay, can't pay them, but I wanted to be, they were being generous with us, and I wanted to be generous with them. In a way that was useful. But that was, there was the big Roshan bombing while we were there, but, everybody who hasn't lived in a city that gets bombed thinks that, if a bomb goes off in Queens, somebody in Brooklyn must be in danger, and the person in Brooklyn probably never knew it happened. Well, it's the same in Kabul. A big bomb goes off, 80 people die, but you're across town and you hear about it when your friends start tweeting you going, are you okay? So the danger there for us was more in the fact that we were going because we were going to Skatistan at the same time of day because we had to be there when the girls were in school every day while we were there. The biggest danger for us was being so predictable that we would be easy to be kidnapped. So we had to have, experienced drivers in really good cars so that, that was not possible. So, but it wasn't, the challenges were more just the challenges of being a woman in Afghanistan more than being worried about being shot up or killed. It was more about just how to manage it so you weren't you weren't stepping on any toes or disturbing things too much.
Okay.
And you know,
Oh, okay. Okay. My next question is, what's your favorite moment in the documentary short?
oh wow, that's interesting. I've not thought about that. I think it's a very small moment, but it's one I really love. And it's in the montage at the end where the girl says, you see the girl skateboarding with the music, and the old girl who says, I wish I could stay young forever so I could skate forever at the beginning, she says, I'd like to be a pilot if I'm allowed. And then later in the montage, you see her raising her hand with great confidence. You know, I mean, and she's the one who at the very beginning says, teacher, none of us know how to read or write. You know, and is very shy. And I know, I mean, the movie is made of these very fine little threads being stitched through it that you pick up subconsciously. You may not realize they're the same person because they keep changing their goddamn headscarves, which is the other real challenge of this shooting in this country. It's like, please wear the headscarf you wore yesterday. Please, please, please. You know, but capturing that girl's going from sitting in the back of the room going, we can't read or write, and her wanting to be a pilot and sticking her hand up in the air. I like that one. But I also really like the moment where Hanifa skates off the ramp and she falls twice. And when she's coming back from her second fall, she goes, hey, you put the evil eye on me. And she kicks up her skateboard and grabs it like any American skateboarder ever, you know. I like that moment, too. I like a lot of them. I mean, it's hard to pick because I have a lot of stuff, so all my faves are in the 40 minutes, you know.
Oh, okay. My next question is, what is the biggest surprise that you experienced after directing it?
Winning Tribeca. That was my biggest surprise after directing it. It was so hard to make, and there were so many things we had to work around, that when it won Best Documentary Short at Tribeca, I was amazed. That was the biggest surprise. And then we started getting all these accolades, and that's great, but that was the first one, and I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it.
Okay. And my next question is, if you had to describe Elena Adriakeva using 3 words, they will be?
My terrific producer?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be it. My terrific producer.
Oh, okay. My next question is, after filming the documentary short, how has this experience affected your life personally?
Well, I'm going to the Oscars. I'm going to the BAFTAs. So my wardrobe has improved substantially. But other than that, you know, and I'm racking up a lot of miles. I should be able to visit Nepal after this run.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Funny enough that you brought the Oscars, because that's my next question. I want to congratulate you on your Oscar nomination and your BAFTAs as well for the
Thank
documentary.
You.
And I mean, it's a wonderful way to start off the new decade, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I wish this had happened to me when I was in my 50s. You know, now I'm 64, and I'm like, damn, I thought I was retiring. But now I guess I got to keep going for a while, huh?
Yep, you have to. And
yes, I do. I'm not unhappy about it. Believe you me. I mean, I feel like after all the struggle of being a women filmmaker at a time when it was just not really possible, it's sort of nice to have have a victory lap at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's nice. It's really nice.
Question is like, where were you when you discovered that the BAFTA nominated you, like your documentary?
Well, I don't remember where I was. I think it was in a cab, and I think my phone started buzzing like a water bug on its back, and I tried to answer it, but there were so many calls coming in, I couldn't get it to work, and then it died. Right, it just used up all the battery. So I got wherever I was going, and I plugged it in. And I got all these congratulations. And I was like, for what? Because, they don't call you anymore. They expect you to watch some streaming thing. Nobody says, hello, this is BAFTA. You have one. It's like, it just goes out into the world. And if you're not on the interweb somewhere, So I found out from my friends, I think in the back of a cab.
Oh, okay. And where did you discover that, the Oscars nominated you? Where were you at?
Well, that was a very planned, I was in my home with my executive producer, Molly, came over to visit, and we just sat there watching the streaming until they announced. So that was a little less interesting a story.
Okay, my next question is, who are you excited to meet or see at the BAFTAs and Oscar ceremony?
I don't know.
Nothing comes to mind?
I'm not, I'm over it a little bit. I'm not as young as, I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
All
I
right.
would like to meet Greta Gerwig. I think she did a great job on Little Women. I would love to give her my congratulations.
Okay. All right. And if you could sit down with any three people in the world and have a chat with them, who would they be and why?
Is it okay if they're dead?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, Doris Lessing. Malcolm X. No. Doris Lessing. Oh, what's her name? Toni Morrison. And Shakespeare.
Oh, okay.
No, not Shakespeare. That's boring. Dante.
Okay.
Dante.
All right. And if you were going to write or direct any film adaptation to any book, like novella, short story, which one would it be? Which one would you like to do?
I would love to do well, I always want to do Little Women, but I guess that's out of the park. I would like to redo Out of Africa, and I would like to do I would like to redo Out of Africa.
All right. And this is my last question. Which film do you predict will win the Oscars for Best Picture?
I have no idea.
Which?
Because I haven't seen most of them.
If you could have guessed, if it's
working, but I hope it's Little Women, but I know it won't be. But I hope it is.
Okay. All right. So that's it. I just want to thank you again for taking your time to do this interview. It's been I had a very lovely experience right now. Just listening to your answers, and just thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.